Tech stocks, one of the market's big laggards this week, hitting levels not seen since September at their lows of the day. And take a look at shares of Meta, the once red-hot stock nearly erasing all its gains since it started that historic 20-day winning streak in January. It's now down more than 15% from its record high. Our next guest expects more market choppiness ahead, but he's optimistic a sustainable rebound is coming. Rick Heitzmann is founder and partner at Firstmark Capital. He was an early investor in Airbnb and Shopify. Rick, great to have you. Great to see you.
Great to be back. Thanks for having me.
You have been really busy. You've sold 10 companies in your portfolio over the past 100 days.
Yes.
What does that speak to?
I think none of them have been huge mega cap sells, nothing over $1 billion, but a couple that are close. And what we're seeing is the M&A wheels are starting to turn again.
Okay.
So, a lot of things were on hold in a volatile 22 and 23, and then people weren't sure about the regulatory environment, especially with the old FTC in 23 and 24. And now corporate development and most large companies are back to work. And they're back to work. They're starting small, like everything starts. And, we sold a company to eBay. We sold a company to CyberArk. We sold a company to CCC that are big companies that are starting to add products and do that. And you have to start small before you get big. So hopefully we see with a more normal market that people feel better about this being a precursor for much larger mergers in the second half of the year.
Right. So you're still optimistic long term, but right now, is this like an adjustment period? You said that VCs have been overly optimistic over the past 6 months, and 6 months happens to be basically since Trump was elected.
Yes.
Right. And so we're readjusting now. What do we readjust to at this point? And what specifically, in your view, were VCs overly optimistic about?
So, like most things, as someone would say, things happen very slowly, then suddenly. And so I think people thought when the administration changed over, there'd be a new FTC chair, and then everything would be much more laissez-faire. And it doesn't work like that, right? So, and then also the new administration's brought a bunch of different crosswinds on everything from tariffs to everything else going on today.
It's catching.
Yeah, it's picking up. I like it. And so, you're seeing those things happen. And you're still seeing people getting used to and comfortable with M&A. And M&A is also a precursor for the IPO market that, it creates a competitive tension effectively. So they're lockstep. So I think people are waiting for a few more wins, seeing how the customer reacts before anything gets too crazy.
Well, Rick, first of all, congrats. Sounds like you've had a bunch of wins. I mean,
it's been a great couple months in a time where people had been starving for liquidity.
Yeah.
So when you think about the backdrop that's had the markets upset, are there companies in your portfolio? Are there subsectors that you think, wow, this is actually good news? And I think this might be a decent backdrop. And obviously, manufacturing and places that really are built towards generating those industries around the United States. And clearly that could be semiconductors, right?
Yeah.
And places that we talk about. Any thoughts on that?
So people are still building out the infrastructure for AI. And one thing we haven't seen slow down is CapEx. And we saw it last week. I think we're going to continue to see it both in reshoring as well as just overall the hyperscalers continue to invest. So our AI infrastructure plays are still seeing phenomenal fundamental traction. Probably the other thing that we've talked about in the past and we're going to continue to see is a transition to digital healthcare. And a lot of the players there, like Ro.co and some of the other folks, are seeing that there's just so much demand for healthcare, the system's stressed, and you're delivering a better quality care. So some of the things both that are part of the administration's plans and even independent of those, you still see good fundamental demand.